Good evening. Thank you, Cobb Democrats, for setting this up. I'm Becky Sayler, and I'm running for Cobb County School Board Post 2. I love public schools. I'm passionate about education and children and giving children the chance to be creative and curious in their education. I grew up in New Jersey and went to public school all the way through, and then I moved down to Atlanta to go to Emory University in 1997. And after graduating, I worked at a Methodist church as a director of children's ministries and did teaching and budgeting and training and all sorts of things that go with that job. And after a while, I left to go live in Romania for a year, and I taught high school. And that's where I really fell in love with classroom teaching and having those moments with students where you see them make these great connections and the energy that can exist between classmates and between the teacher and the students. And I came back to the United States to go to graduate school to get my teaching degree. So I went to Teachers College, Columbia University. And while I was there, my parents were still in New Jersey, so we got to meet up every week, and that was great. They enjoyed having me back on the same time zone and in the same continent. And student teaching in New York City is a great opportunity to learn about lots of different cultures and lots of different students and their needs. And it was a place to see the transformative power of education. A lot of kids and their parents had come at great cost to themselves to try to make a better life and to try to learn as much as they could. And so the students were really motivated, really curious. And I got to see how eager they were for learning English and for learning subject matter. And when I graduated with my degree in teaching English to speakers of other languages, I moved back down to Georgia. I moved to Cobb County in 2007, and I began teaching at Norton Park Elementary, a school in Post 2. It's a Title I school. And there were 7 ESOL teachers, a big ESOL population. And I loved my time there. It was a great time. Now we have children in Post 2 schools, and we continue to be involved as PTA volunteers and foundation volunteers. And I really enjoyed my time with Post 2 schools. We kind of became more involved. I became more involved in the politics side of it about 2 years ago. Like all of us, I was stuck home during the pandemic and wanted to tune in to see what was going on with my school board. Would we have school tomorrow? What was the plan going to be? What was going on? And I really wanted to know what the plan was. And the more I watched, the more I realized there really wasn't one. And it wasn't for lack of trying on behalf of the Democrats on the board. My elected official, Dr. Howard in Post 2, would try to get things on the agenda, and Miss Davis, another Democrat, would try to get things on the agenda to talk about, but they were shut down at every turn. And I watched in real time as they changed their rules so that the board minority, the 3 Democratic members, wouldn't be able to get anything even on the agenda without one Republican agreeing with them. It used to be that it would take 3 people to get an item on the agenda, and now that has been changed to 4. And there are 3 Democrats on the board and 4 Republicans, which has meant that a lot of topics have stalled. It wasn't just COVID safety. It was things like student achievement gaps and some of the realities that I know to exist in our Title I schools and in my children's school are not being addressed. For example, I watched during the CARES Act funding meeting where Christopher Ragsdale, the superintendent, asked for funding for CTLS, a software program. But many of our students don't have devices or ways to access the internet. So we're kind of doing one thing without addressing the basic needs that the students had. And the more I looked, the more I saw how what was going on at the district level wasn't reflecting the needs that I saw in my children's school and in my community. There is a lot we're doing really well in our schools. We've loved our experience in our school. We feel like our children have gotten a great education, but I know there's even more that we can be doing to help kids. So I kept writing to the school board and the superintendent. I sent letters to all of the board members because my board member was prevented from getting anything on the agenda. So I wrote to all of them and would consistently watch the meetings and respond to some issues that I felt were important. And eventually, one of these points, I took my kids to the dentist because Dr. Howard is not just our board representative. He's also my children's dentist. And he said that I should consider running, that he was going to run for a state office. He's running for state superintendent. And then I should consider a run for Post 2. And so I did think about it. I'm always paid attention to politics. I have never thought about running for politics, but this felt like the perfect chance to get involved in something that I'm passionate about, that I'm knowledgeable about, and that I can get in there and try to fix the problems that I have seen. There's a disconnect between what parents and teachers experience in the school and what we hear from the district. And we need a board to be able to get into the nitty-gritty problems that we see and not just say yes to everything the superintendent does. And as a teacher and as a parent, I can get into those nitty-gritty details and fix what needs to be fixed. I'm eager and energetic and ready to do the work. We need more opportunities for public input before major financial decisions are made. And then we need frequent updates on their status. We need more than just 3 regular ed Georgia pre-K classes available in Cobb County. We have the South Cobb Learning Center, which is great, but we can fill it out with more classes. We need to stay updated on the best in reading research and make those trainings available to our teachers. And we should be supporting programs like dual language immersion by putting effort into recruiting bilingual teachers and by giving kids extra language learning lessons if they need it, instead of scaling back a program that we know has a chance to close the achievement gap between students. We also need to address the mental and academic struggles that our kids have had over these 3 school years affected by the pandemic. And we should be maximizing our use of federal and state funds that are available to our schools so that the children in our schools can learn safely. I'm eager to work on these problems. Both Dr. Howard and Ms. Davis have endorsed me because they know that I've been paying attention, that I can do the work, and that I'm ready to do the work. I'm the only educator in the race, and I promise you that every vote I take on that board, I will do it in the best interest of our kids, that I will always be thinking about what is best for our kids as I'm doing the work. I have made my life about what's best for children, and I will bring that energy and passion to the Cobb County School Board. The school board posts have been redrawn, so take a minute to check your My Georgia voter page and see what post you were in. If you're in post 2, I ask for your vote. If you're not, you can still get involved in my campaign by going to beckysayler.com or following me on Facebook and making a donation so I can get out more communication to the voters in post 2. And thanks for listening, and be sure to vote. Early voting begins May 2nd. And the last day to vote is primary day on May 24th. I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.